Meeting minutes from July 26th.
I will move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Okay, number 3 is a request by Stephen Kinney for rezoning property at 805 Hagan Street from office district to multifamily residential district, and to amend the City of Hudson Comprehensive Plan 2030 Master Plan map land use designation from general commercial to medium-density residential. The property is generally located at the southwest quadrant of Hagan Street and Crestview Drive. Denny, do you want to start with this? Or?
Yeah, the request from Mr. Kinney is to change the zoning from an office district to a RM multifamily residential district. The parcel is 2.13 acres. In your package, you received a copy of the certified survey map. Parcel 1 indicated on that certified survey map is the Kinney property. Outlot 1, which is immediately to the west, is owned by the City of Hudson. But the request for the rezoning only applies to Lot 1. General locations at the southwest quadrant of Crestview Drive and Hagan Street, which is basically, this is a long parcel, comes up and extends up to Crestview Drive. This is Comforts of Home. This is the Prairie Point office. This is the dental office and the post office, I-94, Crestview Drive and Hagan Street. The property was sold to Mr. Kinney about 11 years ago for the purpose of developing an office. Steve hasn't been able to develop the property, is now requesting to have the property rezoned for the potential sale of it. I don't know, Steve, if you want to make any comments. Jamie Bowie, potential project architect, if the zoning would go through, is here also to answer any questions. The nice thing about the city parcel on the west side is that we kept that rather than selling Lot 1 and Outlot 1 altogether. The city decided to set aside Outlot 1 because there's a number of trees on that parcel, which provided screening from the Hazel Crest subdivision to Hagan Street, and the city still possesses that. The trees, now we've got 11 years additional growth, provides pretty effective screen from any properties to the west. I am recommending rezoning. I think both the office designation and or the multifamily designation would be both suitable zoning classifications for that parcel. The request from the property owners to go to the multifamily to facilitate a possible sale of the property.
Mr. Kinney, did you have anything you wanted to say, or is there any questions? Okay. Any questions from anyone?
I guess I have one question. Really, it relates to access. Where will the access be then for the people in there?
Well, access.
Vehicle access?
Yeah, potentially driveway access would come off of Hagan Street, potentially directly across from the post office.
Okay.
Accesses.
Those are issues that would be addressed at a later time, correct?
If the zoning would go through, development plan submitted, I think I talked to Kevin and Mayor Burchell, off-street parking's issue, but all those would be addressed at that time when we look at development plans if we get to that point.
What is the, just out of curiosity, because I don't know, there's Mark Erickson's building. Mm-hmm. There's some distance there between that, Steve's property and all that. I mean, there's
a thin, this city property, which, this is the Kinney property, and the city property is pretty narrow in the north end and widens out. And this is where most of the trees are at, but, the property for the Prairie Point is right here.
Oh, okay.
So now, due to this narrow nature of this parcel, the building naturally is going to be located down in the southern end of the parcel. I mean, it's just, otherwise you'd never be able to meet setbacks. So.
Any other questions, or do we have a motion?
Go ahead, Frank.
I'll make a motion that the zoning be approved.
And I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That's also the comprehensive plan change also.
Oh, yes.
As Danny stipulated in his recommendation, yes.
Do we have an opposition to it? Anyone oppose? Or was all ayes? I didn't hear. Okay. Motion passes. All right. Number 4 is a request by Todd Erskine, Erskine Floors at 1719 Cooley Road to sell fireworks on a year-round basis. Be an amendment to Chapter 132 of the Fireworks and Fireworks Code and Chapter 255 for zoning. Denny?
Just start comments. Todd inquired about this. I quite frankly told him, I said, there's two possibilities. The answer is, absolutely no. We're going to stay with where we're at with the current sales provisions of fireworks. Or, as I discussed with him this afternoon, was the possibility that we would explore it if there's the feeling of the Plan Commission to do so. Just for a clarification purpose, the City of Hudson allows the sales of what's called fireworks paraphernalia. Those are not fireworks under the state statute. However, the state statute gives a provision that cities in regulation of fireworks can include those in the local regulations. State statutes gives clear authority to the local municipalities about sales and regulation of the fireworks. It's really a local issue at the Wisconsin level. What would be required under a request, what Mr. Todd is requesting is basically the fireworks provision of the local ordinance that have to be changed to broaden the definition of fireworks. Fireworks would have to be, sales would have to be amended to, where it'd be a seasonal or where it'd be a year-round consideration. Also, I think if the city's going to give consideration to this request, then any facility that would sell fireworks, not fireworks paraphernalia as we currently know it, but fireworks, would be required to get a conditional use permit so the city could go through, look at the specific site locations issues. There are specific things in the state statute that says sale of fireworks cannot be conducted within 50 foot of a dwelling. City can be more restrictive than that. Also, sales or storage of fireworks cannot occur within 50 foot of a facility that dispenses more than 1 gallon of flammable liquids such as gasoline. So those types of things we'd have to look at if there's some feeling to at least explore that possibility. Maybe Todd, if you'd like to just visit with the Plan Commission for a few minutes as why you're making this request and what your plans may be, and then we can continue discussion.
You bet.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Denny. My request for this permit or conditional use permit is I think it's something that Hudson currently doesn't have, that I see full operation in other towns a little bit east of here. And they seem to work very well outside of Hudson. It doesn't seem an outlandish idea that it could work here too. The business that I started or I brought to Hudson 3 years ago, we took on the amount of warehouse space we needed, 3 years ago. Turns out we don't need even 2/3 of it now. So I've got several thousand square feet of space up there that I'm not making any use of, that I would like to make use of. There's a number of different things that I've looked at and tried to get a sense of what would work in conjunction with the operations that I've got. Another retail thing is what I would want to bring up there. And it seems like fireworks is something that works for us on a conditional, well, not a conditional use permit. What is it, Denny? A temporary permit a couple times a year?
Well, the current ordinance allows sales of fireworks paraphernalia, which isn't defined as fireworks under the state statute.
I mean, around the 4th of July, we get.
The current regulations allow sales from June 15th to July 7th, 23-day period maximum. Can't open the doors before then. You got to close, close your sales on no later than July 7th. So you have a 23-day window for temporary sales of fireworks paraphernalia, which is caps. The lesser powered, as a lot of people commonly know as fireworks. But the definitions in the state statute and what's the definition in the city of Hudson's a little bit different. So as of right now, we only allow sales of these lesser powered fireworks. We don't allow sales of, and it's illegal to possess fireworks. Per se, you can possess fireworks paraphernalia. You cannot possess fireworks unless you have a user's permit in the city of Hudson.
Well, when you say that, then that makes you ask a lot of questions. Are you talking about selling Roman candles? Are you talking about selling M80s? Are you talking about, boom, boom, high, way up in the sky type stuff?
You bet. We're talking.
I guess I'm just curious because I
Yes, I
don't know what you're thinking here.
I'm thinking that the fireworks that I want to sell year round are the same type of fireworks that we have during the month of June and the first week of July. Yes, it's more than Roman candles, more than M80s. Something less than goes off down at the park. But they are the,
It would include those types of items.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the city ordinances and state ordinances when it comes to shooting stuff up like that, fire type? I don't know, and I'm asking questions just because I guess maybe I'm uninformed here.
My reading of the state statute is unless you have a user permit, which can only be issued by the city of Hudson, it's illegal to possess or discharge fireworks, period.
And I think in layman's, it's if it leaves the ground and goes boom, you can't do it in the city.
Oh, okay.
So that's how I always tell people. If it leaves the ground and goes boom, you're not supposed to be able to do it in the city limits. So it's a significant change to the statute if we consider this change. And it's going to open up to any business in town the opportunity, which may be something we want or don't want, I don't know, but, we have to remember if we change the statute, it's not just for Mr. Erskine, it's for the whole city.
Well, they have it in Baldwin, as I think he's indicating. They have it out by St. Croix National. Full-blown places that are already doing this.
Exactly.
And one of my
without,
concerns
without
would be,
incident.
One of my concerns would be the location, since there's the collision center right next to your flooring business.
And of course, I've spoken with Tom, and he doesn't have any concerns or objections to it.
Okay.
And the other locations are not year-round.
No, they're very seasonal.
You mean in the city limits?
In
Baldwin?
the township.
Okay, I don't know. I know Baldwin is year.
As far as I know, most of them are seasonal.
Yeah.
Say, Frank and Denny,
Sure.
can I speak to that?
Yeah, please, you come to the lectern if you're going to speak,
Okay.
Jeff, please.
My name is Jeff Osbeck. I've been doing fireworks in the city of Hudson since probably 1987, over pretty much in that red, white, and blue shed by Fleet Farm. Last year was our last year there. We currently own the old Cornelia at Exit 4. It is a year-round business. I think that the way the city of Hudson does it currently on the 20-day seasonal permit works very well. The business for fireworks basically runs around 10 days around the 4th of July, and then it dies. We do operate year-round, but there's really nobody coming. I would say that Mr. Erskine, if he thinks he's going to be alone there, if you change this ordinance, he's kidding himself. You'll have Phantom, TNT. You'll have every fireworks company in North America will be right on this border. So I would say that the way you got it is fine. Just keep it the way it is. I obviously have a vested interest in it, but I do understand the business. So, and by the way, City of Hudson 20-day permit works very well. You can't sell anything that leaves the ground or explodes like a firecracker. We sell everything. Our business is primarily Minnesota people, which we can sell freely to. Wisconsin people do have to have a permit from the municipality, the village, the township, or the city.
It's called a user permit.
Yeah, right. It's a permit that's issued, and usually for like an evening to light them off for, their own little celebration or something.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Now, just because you're very familiar with this, and one of my biggest concerns has been, here we are on the St. Croix,
Mhm.
and there's people out on those islands, you know, over the 4th of July, big weekend, and you see stuff blasting
Yeah, you do.
everywhere.
Mhm.
And I don't have a problem with that, but where I do have a problem with it is you go out there the next day and it's laying everywhere. It's not picked up.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't have an answer for that. I mean, we're like the McDonald's that sells the hamburger and then the wrapper gets loose.
No,
We don't know where the
I'm not
wrapper
trying to
goes.
pin the tail on a donkey here, but I guess I'm just saying we're in a unique situation, and
Mhm.
some of that is undesirable, and I guess I'm just trying to make that.
We also have to consider policing. You know, additional
Take
policing.
additional inspections, those types of considerations. So, I mean, if the answer is no.
Okay. Thank you for
You're
letting
welcome,
me say.
Jeff. There's two things I see. We say no, and maybe that's the end of the conversation. Or if you want me to explore, talk to the fire department a little bit more, bring back some ideas, I'm willing to do that.
I've got a
It's
question.
kind of like the accessory dwelling issue, you know? At first, we said, well, do we absolutely say no? Because we looked at that issue 2 or 3 times before, and we decided at least to explore it a little bit. We came back, and, you know, we think we got an ordinance we can certainly live with there, but here, but it's a pretty big departure from what we're currently doing. Fireworks as would be allowed under Todd's request to be sold are illegal in the city of Hudson,
Todd, you had a question? Or?
Yeah,
under the current ordinance.
right. Are we having any problems out at your business out there on Exit 4?
What do you mean by problems?
Well, I don't know. Any?
You'll have to define what you mean. I had a guy break into my container and stole a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
I think that's a problem.
That is a problem. Are the police regularly involved with visits to your site?
No, the only time I call them is when I have a problem. And I've been there for 2 years now, and that's the only police-related matter that I've had.
Sure. So as far as points to, Black Cat and the other fireworks companies, I mean, there could certainly be licenses issued by the city to sell fireworks that could be limited to 1 or, 20, however many the city felt was reasonable or unreasonable. It could be like a liquor license or something like that, too. I guess what I'm saying is I'm looking for a good use for a building that I own here in Hudson. It's expensive to be there. The market, the industry, the business that I'm in right now has suffered terribly, and I'm looking for something smaller, purchase quantities, something that someone can come and purchase $100 worth rather than several $1,000s worth. It seems like a very good location for it. It's isolated. I don't have neighbors to 3 sides of me, and I have a neighbor that's not that doesn't object to it at all on the other side of me. The interstate's right there. I've got good visibility for it. I think it's something that would work well in the building. We've operated a very nice, clean retail environment up there since we've opened. We've made big improvements to the building, and we'll continue to do that. So I think I've shown that I'm a good retailer, a responsible retailer, and I think I could do a good job with this as well. Getting around and looking at big departures from where we've been, I guess I'd look at, are those rules on the books just because they're on the books, or is there good reason for it? If there aren't problems with surrounding fireworks sales businesses, why would we think there would be problems with my location that's more visible, that has more traffic going by it on a regular basis? Things like theft and that sort of thing, they just don't happen there. It's too out in the open, just too visible. I don't know. I think it's a reasonable thing to consider, and at least a reasonable thing to look at, like Denny suggested, and do some more research. Find out what are the real obstacles here. Are there fire code issues that we have to get by? Does my building meet the codes that would be required? Is it, is there limited number of licenses that would be issued? Are there limited hours of operations that would be required? I guess all of those sorts of things.
Well, I'd like to comment as a courtesy and call it a potential issue that might come up again. I feel that the idea of looking into this a little bit to, you know, either come up with a yay or a nay, or here's the path we go down with is not out of line. To just bluntly say no is not the right thing because it hasn't been explored and everything hasn't been checked out. So I would say that as a courtesy to a local business, you know, with no guarantees, of course, that we do, you know, pursue this, you know, to the next level just to see where it goes, to see if it can work or maybe it can't. I mean, no guarantees at all, but at least to take a good look at it. Number two, if it should come in again, we can always say, hey, we looked at this.
Sure. Is that a motion?
That is a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll say.
Can you say what the motion was again?
Well, the motion was very rambling, dragged out. The motion was to take a look at it, as I think Denny suggested.
And provide direction to me to take a look at some of the issues, bring back
Yes, please.
some of the issues, and I talked to the fire department about any issues they may have. Bring back some recommendations, you know, should be a conditional use permit. You know, there's a 50-foot limitation of separation from dwellings. Is that adequate or could it be more? You know, those types of things. Kind of set.
And I like the idea that Todd has about possibly looking into limiting the number of licenses that we allow. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe
but there's
that's an
other
option.
dimensions to this too, and as I tried to bring forth it, and we're not picking on Mr. Erskine as a retailer or a merchant, but you know, there is a side effect to this. I mean, if you run a clean operation and run a great show, that still doesn't mean Hudson doesn't have a problem, because this stuff could be laying everywhere, houses could be burning down, bottle rockets could be going into guys' roofs. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that could happen, which I guess I tried to introduce in a different way that I think we have to consider.
Mm-hmm. Which was my point on policing, not necessarily your business, but
Right.
people that actually are going to buy the fireworks and use them.
Absolutely.
So, but we kind of had a motion then after you re-explained it.
And I reaffirm my original motion, but really in the lines of what Denny said. I mean, I would like to mimic his statements and say, let's please explore this further with the stipulations that you mentioned.
Yeah, I'm not even sure you're reading a motion. If you just want to direct me to explore it, we'll bring it back.
Well, if we don't need a
So
motion,
do we
then
want
I'd
to
ask you to
postpone
do
it,
that.
then we can postpone it till,
With the direction that I look at the issue.
Then I move to postpone with Denny taking that direction and coming back with information. I move to postpone.
till next month's meeting, or how much time would you need?
Well, I should be able to have it done by next meeting.
Okay.
Which is early.
Well, as of right now, September 8th.
So I move to postpone. I changed my motion.
Do we have we never really had a second, so we're
Don't
good.
need one,
No. We don't need a motion to postpone, though?
do you?
Do we need a motion to
just-
postpone?
Yeah, go ahead.
Second?
Fine.
All those in favor? Aye.
So we eyed to talking again September 8th?
As of right now, that's the tentative date.
Right. So we'll talk, we'll figure out when we're coming back here and
Yeah.
kind of hash some more stuff around.
Hopefully September 8th.
Okay. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, back to our regular order of business. Then, is there any other business or information, for informational purposes, or anything that we need on an upcoming agenda?
Next Plan Commission meeting is Thursday, September 8th, 7 PM. The public hearing on McKinney rezoning is Tuesday, September 6th. Just to mention that, I don't know, for Packer fans, that's the opening game of the Packer season, Thursday day, so I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but,
Start the meeting at 6.
well, we'll see. We'll address that when it comes. But that's, yeah, Thursday, tentatively Thursday, September 8th, 7 PM 's next Plan Commission meeting, and Steve Kinning rezoning hearings scheduled for Tuesday night, September 6th at 6:55 before the Common Council. That's all I have.
Anybody else? we're good? All, okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.